Ever wish you had a financial roadmap when you were a teenager? Well, today, that's exactly what we're breaking down, age by age, from 13 to 18. And hey, if you're older than 18, stick around. This is the perfect checklist to make sure you're on the right track. Let's dive in. So, the source we're pulling from today kicks off with a massive claim. Follow just a handful of these tips, and you will be light years ahead of everyone else your age. The author himself became a millionaire in his 20s, and he's convinced he could have done it even faster if he just had this roadmap sooner.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Age 13. At this age, you have one single advantage that's more powerful than anything else in the entire world of investing. It's something every adult wishes they had more of, and you have tons of it.
And that advantage? It's time. We're talking about time in the market, which is an investor's absolute greatest weapon. The whole idea is simple, really. The longer your money is invested, the harder it works for you. It doesn't just grow in a straight line, it grows exponentially. You've probably heard this before, but the best way to picture it is that classic snowball analogy. You start with a tiny little snowball at the top of a huge hill. As it starts rolling, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger, and rolling faster and faster. By the time it reaches the bottom, it's not a snowball anymore, it's a full-blown avalanche. That's exactly how your investments work, thanks to the magic of compounding. So how do you actually start this at 13? Well, you can't open an investment account by yourself yet. So step one is to ask a parent or guardian to open a custodial account for you. In the UK, this is called a junior ISA. In the US, you've got options like a UGMA or UTMA account. Then, for birthdays and holidays, instead of asking for the latest gadget, ask them to put that money into your account. And what do you buy? A great place to start is a simple, low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Just like that, your money is spread across 500 of the biggest companies in the US. Okay, moving on to ages 14 and 15. This is where you really start building your foundation. It's all about exploring new skills and, probably most importantly, completely changing the way you think about money.
Think about it. At 14, you have this incredible freedom. You probably have zero real expenses. No rent, no bills, nothing. This is your time to just try stuff. Anything and everything. Odd jobs, competitive sports, you name it. The guy who wrote this stuff talks about his son waking up at 4 a.m. for swim practice. He wasn't earning a dime from it, but the discipline he learned, it made him an absolute powerhouse when he started his own business at 18. You just can't find your hidden talents if you don't go out and explore.
Now, let's talk about 15. This is all about your saving mindset. See, most teens save to spend. They'll save up for a couple of months, buy a new video game, and poof, the money's gone. You're right back at zero. The huge mindset shift here is to start saving to invest. You need to see your savings not as a pot for short-term fun, but as the launch pad for your entire future. Seriously, even just having $100 saved means you aren't starting from scratch, and that's a massive mental win. Okay, age 16. The next 2 years are absolutely critical before you're officially an adult. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to stop spending money on consumer gadgets and start investing it in something way more valuable: high-income skills.
But let's be super clear on this. This does not mean buying some $1,000 online course from a so-called guru. A lot of those guys just want your cash. No. The smart move is to invest in the actual tools that let you teach yourself a skill that people will pay for. Here's a perfect example. The author's son used money he made from side hustles to buy a used iMac. And because it was his own hard-earned cash on the line, he was way more motivated. He actually sat down and taught himself video editing and Photoshop, skills that are in huge demand right now. See? Investing in the tool created the drive to learn. And here we are, age 17, the final year before the real world hits. At this stage, there is one super practical skill that acts like a massive key, one that unlocks countless opportunities for you to make money.
And that key? It's a driver's license. I know it might sound kind of basic, but it's one of the biggest roadblocks for young entrepreneurs. Trying to rely on your parents for a ride or dealing with unreliable public transport just doesn't work when a client needs you. A license gives you freedom, it gives you control, and it lets you live by a super important professional rule. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're already late.
All right, as we're about to hit age 18, we have to tackle a really big, kind of controversial question that the source brings up. Is university a scam? Let's unpack that.
Welcome to adulthood. You're 18. The financial world is now open to you, and it's time to take control. So here are 7 critical steps you need to take, like right now, to set yourself up for massive success. First, open 2 bank accounts. You need a checking account for all your day-to-day spending and a separate high-yield savings account where you'll build your emergency fund. Second, get a credit card and use it for small, regular things you'd buy anyway, like gas. But, and this part is absolutely non-negotiable, you must pay it off in full every single month. This builds you an amazing credit history for free. Third, open a tax-advantaged investment account, like a Roth IRA in the US or a stocks and shares ISA in the UK. This lets your investments grow tax-free, which is huge. Now, this next point goes against what a lot of us were taught. You've probably heard someone say that all debt is bad. The author mentions his own father telling him, "Neither a borrower nor a lender be." But he argues that this kind of old-school thinking was actually designed to keep working people from using leverage to build real wealth. The truth is, using debt responsibly is an incredibly powerful tool. And that brings us to the crucial difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt is when you borrow money to buy assets that go up in value. Think a mortgage for a rental property or a loan to start a business. Bad debt is when you borrow money for things that go down in value, like financing a flashy car, new clothes, or a vacation you can't really afford. Your mission is to use good debt strategically and avoid bad debt like the plague. So the last 4 steps tie this all together. Number 4, think really critically about university. If you want to be a doctor or a nurse, yeah, it's essential. But for a lot of other fields, it can be a really expensive delay. 5, as we just said, avoid bad debt. Don't finance stuff you don't need. 6, take those skills you've been working on and start a service-based side hustle. Video editing, web design, writing. These things cost almost nothing to start. And finally, number 7, invest for the long haul. Set it up to happen automatically every month and then just let it grow. So after all that, we get to the million-dollar question. Or in this case, maybe the $1.5 million question. What is the real, tangible, bottom-line difference if you start this journey at 18 instead of, say, waiting until you're a little older? Just look at these numbers. If you invest just $250 a month starting at age 18, assuming an average 8% return, you could have around $1.5 million by age 65. But what if you wait just 10 years and start at 28? That same investment only grows to about $700,000. That's less than half. Waiting a single decade costs you over $800,000 in potential growth. It's staggering. So why is that gap so massive? It's because those first 10 years are the most powerful years of all. That's when compounding really kicks into high gear. It's not just your money growing, it's the growth on your money that starts growing. That little snowball has officially become an avalanche. So we'll leave you with this one last thought. The single most valuable asset you have right now is time. The steps you take today, no matter how tiny they seem, will have a gigantic impact on your future. So the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?